Welcome back to Shanghai Warcraft Gold League Summer Edition 2019. We're going into the winner bracket finals here on day 3. It's a celebration of the winners of the first round. 8 brave warriors have made it into this stage of the tournament, and they are one step away from the top 8 and the prize money.
Absolutely, we have had quite a few Warcraft games to enjoy already, but no decisions being made just yet. But today we have the first 4, exactly. And of course, the 8 players that we see here today now, they have looked the strongest so far out of all 16 here. Quick maths. And some of these encounters today, especially the first one, dude, is such a treat. We're going to have 1-0 versus Infi. This was a WGL, or back then GCS Grand Final, actually, which was one hell of a spectacle. And now they're meeting here in a best of 3 to determine the first one to the playoffs.
Yeah, in the first 2 days, the favorites prevailed most of the time. I think there was no big upset. Many players played a little better than we expected. For example, Chimiko or Hunter or OC was doing a good job against Infi as well. They're coming like from smaller tiers of the scene, especially the American players, but they were able to hang with the best of the best for quite some time until they made a mistake and then got punished for it. This is what separates the great players from the good players, and we've seen this year more that one mistake starts a snowball for the favorite. And I wonder if this continues here today or if we see more comeback mechanisms. This is what it's all about. The Frozen Throne is once again up for grabs. Moon, of course, the current reigning world champion. We'll see him later today in a match against his countryman Chimiko. But first, it's a Chinese battle, and you mentioned it before. The Iceman is stepping in this ring, coming, or is, of course, in Group A. He defeated OC with 2-0. The games were a lot longer than we expected them to be. And yeah, Rogue Warrior versus Newbie is the theme here once again.
Yeah, and Infi is always a scary player to face. He hasn't won any major titles this year. Well, Super WGL, I guess you could say, but he can step into the ring and be a top favorite any day of the week. In fact, if you ask all of the players, next to TH, they will mention Infi as one of the big favorites, but they will also talk about 1-2-0, one of the 2 best undeads in the world. Being victorious against Lawliot, hard opponent in his first match, looked strong, but didn't dominate his opponent, but in a decent shape still, looking to be. I wouldn't say, though, that this is the strongest 1-2-0 we've ever seen.
True, the youngest world champion had its flaws in the first round. He had one of the strongest opponents in the first rounds. Maybe Happy versus Lin was a little more high stake, but 1-2-0 versus Lawliot was pretty sick. He had a rough start. The first map against the Warden of Lawlight, we saw it in the highlight clips yesterday, how he got punished at his economy was pretty damn sick. But once Lawlight had not the power of the Warden anymore, it was 1-2-0 time. Twisted Meadows was a stomp, and Last Refuge in the later stages, in the direct fights as well. Now, it's a matchup that we don't see too often. If Infi sticks to his main rate, which I think he will, then we have Undead versus Human. And yeah, we haven't seen this too much on the new patch. There's quite some buffs for Human with the Orb that really hurts the Death Knight's coil. And Knights are a lot better with the new upgrade, Sundering Blades, that will help against Fiends. I haven't seen this upgrade in a live pro match just yet, and maybe today's the day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Actually, the top humans, Infi and TH and some of the others perhaps, were switching to Nile all the time, but this is a new patch, 1.31, and they are returning to the human race, which once again is very competitive.
Our schedule here, we've been through the first round of group stages yesterday and the day before. Today, only winner bracket finals from all 4 groups before we dive into the lower bracket tomorrow with all the defeated players from round 1 fighting for survival. And this will be the big conclusion of the group stage. On Wednesday, everything starts at 11 CEST or 5 p.m. Chinese Standard Time before we go into the playoffs from Friday to Sunday. Our games today, as we've hyped up before, Infi versus 1-2-0. Then we have TH versus Focus. The world champion Moon is facing Chimiko, and the happy hype is so real. He will face Sock later today.
Absolutely tangible here. Happy. There seems to be an aura of excitement around him. It seems like he has stood the first test of proving himself offline, but that will be a story for later on. Now we're going into the Chinese duel. Infi versus 1-2-0. 1-2-0 was very confident in this matchup at 1.30, but having had a chance to briefly talk to him, now he says things have changed. Things have turned around, and 1-0 doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel confident in that matchup anymore. Infi, what about him? He hasn't played this matchup in a long time.
True that. Two of the best Gold League participants ever. Infi, a former champion in 2015 in the Grand Final against 1-0, and a silver medal also in a Grand Final against 1-0, where then the Undead finally claimed the throne and got his revenge. 7 participations for Infi. He's been to all the Gold League tournaments, only once stopped in the group stage. 1-0, the best Gold League player ever. 2 gold medals, 2 silver medals, but it's been quite some time. He has been in 5 playoffs, 2 times stopped in the group stage. For example, last time defeated by Focus and Lawliot. Will this happen again? We'll see about that. The map vetoes. We have Infi banning Last Refuge and Twisted. 1-0 getting rid of Terranas and Echo Isles, leaving us with AZ, CH and Northern Isles.
Understandable. The Undead getting rid of the easiest expansion maps for the human, and Twisted Meadows always a nightmare still for the humans, so we are left with the most standard maps, Concealed to start with. And yeah, this matchup used to be all about expansions, but it's not that one-dimensional anymore.
True, humans can play more Riflemen these days. In Europe especially, we've seen Dreadlords, which is very interesting, but I don't think this trend has reached China yet. This broadcast is 8 minutes old and I got goosebumps. This could be a grand final right here if the 2 players are in shape. They are a little shaky from time to time. Who will be the first player to go into the top 8 into the playoffs? It's Rogue Warrior Infi the Iceman versus Newbie 1-2-0 the Necromancer. Oh boy, this is also a rematch from the Ule Cup earlier this year. It was an epic best-of-7 final that 1-2-0 in the end took with 4-3. Can Infi get revenge? We will see. The statistics between the two are pretty damn close. They have faced each other 22 times. 1-2-0 is slightly leading with 12-10 in series, but at the moment, he's on kind of a win streak, man. He won, as I said, the Ule Cup. He won a battle in the Chinese WCG qualifier. He won 2 battles in the Ule Cup, actually. And in the China versus Korea H&W Masters, 1-2-0 was also victorious. It's a 4-0 win streak for 1-2-0. Can he expand that, or is Infi the breaker of streaks?
And how much is the new patch gonna help him out here? Patch 1.31, as you mentioned earlier, has brought quite some changes to the human race, with the Sunring Blades upgrade for the Knights and the Orb of Fire both being very powerful against Undead in the late game. But that's the thing. It's the late game. The first time you're gonna be able to make use of the new upgrades is gonna be 10 minutes in. If you're expanding, maybe even later. And if you're playing one base, can you really go tier 3 reliably? It's not that easy to pull off. So yes, human has become better, but you have to get to that stage first. We have seen humans crumbling many times long before the tier 3 was reached, when the expansion was getting punished too hard and the early game was going the Undead's way and just spiraled out of control from there. But yeah, it's totally different.
That being said, though, Infi was one of the very first players to start one-basing against Undead. I remember a pretty legendary match nowadays on Turtle Rock against 1-2-0, and he won that thing with one-base tier 3 Knights, unbuffed Knights, in an older patch this was. So the times where you could mark your calendar dates when Infi was playing one base are over, and now he's gotten more used to that. With stronger riflemen, that should be possible. What's 1-2-0's answer to that is the question. He's starting off with a normal creep spot here with DK and skeletons, losing 1 skeleton there.
Yeah, not exactly the most perfect creep, but should be fine, I guess. When I was standing behind the players earlier, of course, they were all practicing on netties. Happy was actually playing against Infi on AZ in one of their practice games. And there, Infi played rifles. One base rifles, no expansion, just creeping up the map control, like European style, I guess we could call it, that used to never be played by him, but times have changed. Not even making use of the tier 3 there is what I'm trying to get at. And it certainly is not looking like an expansion play here by Infi, which is of course understandable. Concealed with that hard natural camp, the poison and everything else can be really tough to pull off.
True. So for 1-2-0, it's a Tet Fiend build order. For Infi, it's a fast attack, most likely into rifles. The thing, I guess, that is the strongest thing about humans these days is Mountain King, which will most likely be the second hero choice, and then how fast can you creep him to level 3 for the strongest Stormbolt.
Yeah.
So far, a very standard game, Infi being a little more aggressive, with the positioning at least, but 1-0 scouting is pretty on point, so he knows he can go for the little green spot without being punished, and maybe there's a chance to coil one of those creeps and prevent the Archmage from level 3.
That turtle gives him the level 2. Now as the aura, much better chase potential, much better harassment, kill, everything potential. Level 2 for the DK, very important as it is for so many heroes in the game. Same of course for the AM. This map can be hard to creep level 3, to find level 3 on, but Infi actually is making great strides, going to the next green camp now, already more than level 2.5, and it's pretty much a certainty that he's going to be level 3 by the time he reaches tier 2, which is what you want. So you can solo creep the second hero then with a level 2 Watcher.
Ooh, that was pretty close. The Skeleton wanted to get the last hit from the Archmage here. No level 3 as he scares him away from this shop creep, and even with an Acolyte, 1-0 is stealing this now. It is a little hard. We see the replay here once again, or the first person by Infi actually, putting some pressure onto this DK.
Oh,
but 1-0 got it again.
1-0 a little bit greedy, not investing the coil, relying on his last hit potential, thinks he can make it work without having to use the mana. And
Yeah,
it works
both
out
are
for him.
so great at that. 1-0 was one of the first to start stealing Acolytes with, not Acolytes, creeps with Skeletons and even Acolytes. Infi stepped up his game so much in that regard when the Keeper was so good half a year ago. He denied tons and tons and tons of experience with his impeccable last hits. Like he's playing Dota, it's pretty insane.
So here we go now, we're reaching tier 2 very soon. AM will be level 3 and we saw the first Rifleman. This means that tier 3 is not very likely but could still be seen. But the biggest question now for the next 2 minutes or so is this going to be a tier 2 expansion for Infi or not? Is he going to stay one base or not? You can play the tier 2 expansion with this very well. The MK comes out with the Militia, and if this is the attempt, 1-0 wants to be there to punish this, so I think his positioning on the map right now is very good. Should there be a natural creep trying to go for the Expo, he's already in the south, able to do something about it.
Yeah, and he's taking to tier 3, so a little distraction. No tier 2 expansion for 1-0 on this side. Steals a little more experience, getting level 3 with this for the level 2 coil. Oh, he had that already, but expanding on that a little. Archmage selling the cloak, even though you can use it during daytime now.
We've never seen that become relevant, right?
Not yet, no.
I thought we would, like, kind of frequently, but we really haven't just yet.
Second heroes are out. Lich for 1-2-0, Mountain King for Infi, quite standard thus far, but with all that range damage from 2 Water Elementals and the Rifleman and Archmage, he's gonna be a little more careful about this DK. I mean, statues are coming slowly. He still can fight for this Magi with Coil Nova. The item will most likely go to Infi. How good is the disable with the Stormbolt? There we go, disabling the Coil, more damage on him. Nova ends up on the back line, and this Rifleman is already gone. Footman is hurt as well. The Magi will now most likely go to Infi, but worth the cost, I guess.
Kind of surprised Infi isn't calling Militia. Some of them were, I guess, busy with Sanctum, but it can't have been all of them. And Militia in these early engagements are really helpful. You have much more damage that is provided by them. But he gets the last hit anyways, even without the Militia. Losing one more footy for this, but that's fine. Footies don't really matter anymore. The one rifle hurts a little, but it's only one rifle at the end of the day.
Watch awards for Infi from this spot, and of course more experience, but
Oh,
it's fairly
wow.
equal. Yeah, and this is
good.
kind of normal these days, a little tier 2 rifle transition into tier 3. Of course 1-0 is far ahead, but what's he gonna play now on tier 3? Is it still Destroyers? You are one of the biggest haters of Destroyers these days, not worth the cost anymore after all these nerfs they received. But what are his options now on tier 3?
When you face rifles, high numbers
play
of
by Infi.
rifles, A-bombs are outstanding with the Crypt Lord possibly. I'm really surprised 1-0 didn't harass this earlier. He scouted this with the Skeleton very, very quickly, but not in time to do anything about the last hit. The Ogre Lord goes to the Human, and a very good item as well with the Warsong Battle Drums for 10% increased damage.
For everything, not just range or melee, but everything. So this is gonna be really, really good for the upgraded rifles later. 1-0 so far with a pretty ignorable inventory, but the Orb of Corruption is out for -4 armor. I wonder, like, he should be going Paladin third, right? And then
Need the healing,
Yeah,
absolutely.
needs the healing, absolutely. Mountain King rises up to level 2, End of Mana stealing, Illusions coming in, Lich with a level up as well, and a little creep check once more. You think it's safe to say that 1-0 throughout the game has better information about his opponent, stealing this one with the Nova, but catches a Thunderbolt, needs a coil, and escapes with that.
Here come the Militia now, the first time in this game being called. It is still a little bit iffy going fast tier 3 with Human. When you go to the late game, when you become high levels and big army, you are strong, but it takes forever if you're one base going tier 3, rushing that. MK looking for the next Stormbolt, could be a surround here on the Lich. DK trying with the counter surround, passes the TP though. Oh, didn't have mana for a coil anymore actually, so he had to get out that way.
Yeah, went off mana stealing. And in the middle, we have an expansion for 1-0, but boy, will this be shut down in an instant if Infi sees it, and he does.
He's got the sentry ward there, so
Yeah.
he saw it a mile away. Cool idea though, like he knows the red camp is gone, so there's not much incentive to hang around there, not really much to scout there either. So he goes for the sneaky expo, doesn't work. Doesn't cost that much, honestly. When you cancel it early, it costs the Acolyte plus a bit of gold from the expansion, but not that much.
Mana potion for the DK now, no TP, big invul potion there as well. The first destroyer is out, but slowly but steady, we're getting into very comfortable territory for Infi. We see Priest Master upgrade, 4 Inner Fire. There's not going to be too much dispel, so it's going to be really good. The before-mentioned Paladin, and then we're waiting for Knights or Gyros or some transition at least. Rifle cast to tier 3, I don't know if that's viable. Mountain King gets, oh my god, so much armor, +7 now. All of the rings got buffed by +1 basically in the recent patch, so this Mountain King is already super tanky.
Mass rifles with inner fire is actually really strong as long as they're backed up by good heroes. Fiends don't really win a battle normally against mass rifles, so I wonder what 1-0's transition is, finding the Sobi Mask here. I'm a big fan of Banshees, as you guys may know. Against this army, is it the best? Well, Curse could be playing a big part, but there is the spell, I guess. So usually the best answer against this human army is mass A-bombs and a few destroyers, the way it looks right now, but there could be a transition, of course, coming in from Infi.
For the very first time in this tournament, we see the new Orb of Fire for the human. This orb was useless for so many years. Now it has a new effect. No splash damage anymore, but reduces the effect of healing. And of course, Coil is one of the healing effects by 35%. Makes the late game harder for the undead. Little engagement here now at the red spot in the upper left. Room of the Magi for this Mountain King, or for the Paladin for more Holy Light spam.
MK not being level 3 yet here is a big problem. He wants to get this level up. Fighting without it is not easy at all. Lich, on the other hand, is level 3, so this is the big hero level advantage now. Coil Nova, snipes coming in against the caster backline. The Priest, of course, very susceptible to those snipes. And the mana still looking good. 1-0 actually with the Sobi and the mana pot. He is ready for a fight.
Level 2 Brilliance are on Infi's side, so he has something to work with as well. Mana potion still there. The Sobi Mask is so good. Big Invul potion on the Lich as he was in focus twice. 1-0, this is kind of new, I feel. These Coil Nova attacks into Priest and Rifleman. I haven't seen it to this degree before, and it's working really nice. Like, not using the coils defensively, but basically every single coil is a kill.
And the MK level 2 is such a big problem. If he was level 3, he could fight back against this way more easily, but he just can't find any return kills. Maybe the one Fiend in the back, but that one's surviving for now as well. Fiends are trying to drop low, so is the Mountain King though. Where are the Militia again? Have they all died? I don't think so. Dark Ranger gets coiled there as well, and the DK just on point. He is healing all of his army over and over.
Gotta be careful though, next Stormbolt or Holy Light could get the kill, but speaking of a kill, there's nothing for this Paladin to survive. A nice silence from the Dark Ranger. Might lose her life over it, but so worth it. Finally level 3, here comes another Stormbolt, but only going for the kill on the Fiend. Infi town portaling out and losing another Rifleman. Dude, this is a little too early to say maybe, but I am deeply impressed by 1-2-0's micro here so far.
Yeah, that was well done. That was really well done. But what was up with Infi's creep route? How did it take him so long for level 3 MK? This is not the way this is supposed to be. But that being said, 1-2-0 making these Fiends work really well. I'd love to see the upgrades. Maybe they are upgraded. We see this when it comes to Fiend versus Rifle battles nowadays more and more. With that one fight, 1-2-0 once again grab map control and is getting basically the last relevant camp on this here map. He's going to get level 4 Lich for the +4 intelligence, baby. And also the second level in Dark Ritual, which is really good synergy with his Dark Ranger, by the way. And the DK is getting dangerously close to level 5 as well.
Yeah, that boost of the coil will basically ignore the orb then, and making it a level 2 coil or whatever. He has a crystal ball from a lower tier camp. That's a pretty decent item for that now. So you can always scan for Infi's expansion. Doesn't have to send something over, so he has faster information with that. Infi knows about 120's expansion. 120 of course knows he won that fight. He is in a very good position, floating in 900 gold. Now breaking upkeep as I say it. Infi not in a position to do that. He either has to break upkeep as well and follow there to break the expansion, or expand himself but stay in no upkeep. This is a very tough decision to do for Infi now.
Wants to get some better hero levels. Paladin level 3 would be a dream, but it's not going to be doable. It's not going to be possible. There's just not enough left here on the map. Perhaps he's going to get level 2 from this camp. The Holy Light, the Aura, or the Divine Shield. Both would be a great help, but... Oh, he gets it actually. Okay, he actually does get level 2 from this camp. That's a big deal.
Yeah. No tower in the base though. Infi for quite some time, years ago, was called the 6th race, the tower race. Those days are over, and man, is he getting slaughtered in the back. The economy is just gone. Can he win the fight here with 4 gyrocopters now?
Very smart by 120 to realize that the TP was used earlier, and he probably didn't rebuy it because he's struggling on resources in the first place.
Oh my god, more and more peasants are falling. Finally, Infi is breaking into his own base. The coil in time, long range, not too easy to do. TP out for 120. He will lose one. No way! Okay, one fiend there. One got saved with the town portal. I thought it would be out of range, but no. But now, Infi was forced back into his main. CH is one of the biggest maps we have, and the expansion in the upper left is up. This is a long way for... Oh, Infi!
That will be a great freebie right there.
To get to the upper left, but the Mountain King is kind of out of position. He's trying to get there now. No. And 120 forcing the next fight with a 16 supply lead.
This is looking pretty impossible right here. Infi needs to pull off some miraculous plays to have a chance still in this game. 120 with almost a checkmate situation, it seems like here. DK though dropping low on mana, doesn't have too many coils left, and of course the healing is diminished thanks to the Orb of Fire. The A-Bomb will finally be getting taken out, but how many coils? Well actually, Stormbolts I meant, did this take? The MK now mostly dry on mana. Water Elementals, 3 on the battlefield, plenty more damage from them coming in, but more Destroyers could be getting morphed. And get rid of those as well. Coil Nova on the Mountain King. No invul for him, but the Holy Light last second.
For now at least, but he's on the verge of dying. One more Coil Nova and he's gone. No staff on Infi's side. Could get him out there now. 3 Water Elementals up, dispelled by this Destroyer. Nicely done. Not split by Infi. Maybe a little mistake. Holy Light heals up the Mountain King once again, but he has almost no mana. I think there's a little harass, or there was a little harass going on in Infi's base, so his economy is still suffering. 120 sitting comfortably at 60 supply. Infi has to get something done, but it's so hard against the level 5 DK. Here comes the Coil. Avada Kedavra, Paladin falls.
Infi gets some return kills here, gets 2 Fiends, which is okay, but losing the healer is a massive blow to any army. And now, well, he has the Priest still for a bit of healing, but that's not that much. And now he is at a 20 supply deficit as well. Water Elemental was trying to do some harassment over at the expansion, where there's more fortification now being made with the tower being upgraded into the narrow, and a shop there as well. I love the shop. The high-level heroes, as long as they have the mana, 120 should be able to close this game out.
Let's see if Infi can pull a trick out of his hat with the Mountain King. Could be doable, but on low mana, I don't know. There's constant mana, by the way, on these Destroyers, thanks to Inner Fire that gets dispelled over and over. Destroyer safe, man. 120 is playing out of this world. And that's GG by Infi. Oh boy, he's scratching his face there. What can I do? That was pretty rough. I didn't expect that. And 120 continuing his insane shape that we've seen in Game 2 and Game 3 against Lawliot. I am deeply impressed. Coming into this tournament, I did not think we would see such a strong 120 in the fights. Was there a mistake, really? It felt a little bit like the perfection that we were used to 120 like 2016-17.
Absolutely, was good execution, not just in the micros, but also in the early game decision making. I think it was extremely vital for him to be in the south with the level 3 DK, ready to pounce on the expansion should be getting crept, because that is one of the strongest ways you can play rifles. with human, tier 2 tech, and then expand with those rifles as the backup. But if the it's there, that's perhaps a little too dangerous. Infi decided to go for, was it a greedy style? The tier 3 rush on one base? Used to be considered greedy, certainly. But I think his biggest mistake was the creeping. The AM was soaking up way too much experience. You have to get that level 3 MK as quickly as you can. If you find yourself in the late game 50 versus 50 on tier 3, on both sides, the MK can't afford to not be level 3.
Yeah, this is something we see in the tournament quite a bit. Like, Lin did the mistake of not leveling up the TC to level 3, Live did the mistake of not leveling up the Warden to level 3, and now Infi with a level 2 Mountain King. This is also a little theme of the tournament so far. And again, 1-0 punishing this so hard.
Yeah, that was also well done. Like him realizing, okay, you're only level 2. I could creep up on my side of the map and it could be like, okay, we're splitting the map now. But it was smart by him to realize, okay, you made a mistake, that was a blunder, your MK is way weaker than he's supposed to be, and I'm not gonna give you any more free experience. I'm gonna trade favorably now, I'm gonna get the lead in this game. And then, with the numbers backing me up, and also good items, good experience, expansion in the end, sealed the deal there. Honestly, this was like super solid play by 1-0. Yeah. Yes, it was good control, but not necessarily what won him this game. WFZ can micro like that, for the most part, but 1-0 here with a smart play as well, knowing exactly what step to take at what point.
Yeah, that's true. For years, like since the rise of 1-2-0 into the scene, he was known for his micro. And if you ask a Chinese, then they say without a doubt that 1-2-0 has the best micro they've ever seen. Maybe Happy will change that during this tournament. But it feels like there is kind of a transition from 1-2-0 into smarter decision making. He still does some stupid stuff that it's not really the best thing to do, but here on CH, he had the answer to everything. Yeah. And I see this more and more from him. Not the flashy plays anymore, with the great nukes and great saves and burrows and whatever, but just, yeah, playing this smarter and killing Infi like this is quite a statement.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, focusing on Infi now, usually we always say he has the absolute best idea what the best play in any given situation is. He will have the perfect decision making. It didn't exactly feel like that in the first map for once. It didn't look shaky, it didn't look bad, but it didn't look perfect. It didn't feel like everything was clicking. It didn't look like the best build order we've ever seen, which oftentimes Infi will provide.
One big part of this game that I think we haven't mentioned yet is Infi trying to get the upper left shop for the level 3, and 1-2-0 scouting this and just moving there, and Infi had to run. That was a big part in the early game that once again started a little lead for 1-2-0. Can Infi have a better creep route now? Can he take care better of this Mountain King? We will see. Match points for the newbie player who could avenge his fallen brother, Lawliot. Oh no, actually he defeated him. Sorry about that. We go on to Northern Isles, one of the most, like 100% expansion maps before this patch. Is it still doable with this? Infi versus 1-2-0, map number 2.
Yeah, the creep cap has changed. You can't do the rock golem pull-out trick anymore, which makes it so easy to creep. But it's not that hard of a camp. Honestly, anyways, now that it has been changed with the Ogre Magi and stuff there, it's still pretty easy to creep. You should still be able to do it with 5 militia, maybe 6 militia. Maybe it is a little bit harder though, and if you just have to call one more peasant, perhaps you can't go for the instant expansion. So it's going to be interesting to see what build Infi here elects. But he's probably going to expand here, right?
I would tend to agree as well. Here we see the history between those two players again. 2015, the very first Gold League, back when it was called GCS, was the final there. 1-2-0 versus Infi, but Infi, with more experience and better play back in the day, decided that final for him. I think that's the only final we've seen twice.
I'm going to trust you on this, my friend. You're the archivist.
Very sure. I'm very sure. It was Infi versus 1-2-0, Fly versus 1-2-0, 1-2-0 versus Infi, 1-2-0 versus Lin, then TH versus Foggy, TH versus Fly, and Moon versus Foggy.
Yeah. Quick history rundown. Here we see no surprises just yet. If you look towards Europe, we have actually a very different popular strategy amongst the humans, the pally rifle play, which can look very scary at times, but in China, in Asia rather, really doesn't seem to be popular. Haven't seen it here in the big tournaments at all just yet. And yeah, it is the tried and true AM, the hero you can always rely on, who's always gonna be delivering. And who also makes creeping pretty easy. Is it gonna be the instant expansion now? 1-0 will be scouting for this right away with the first Acolyte. And it will not be an instant expansion. Instead, it's going to be the green camp here to start with 3.
Okay, that's a little surprising, but I think this is normal in this patch so far, at least. 1-0, of course, DK, and instant harass. 1-0 has this crazy creep route here where he creeps the Scorpions on the other side of the map instantly.
Yep.
Infi denying some experience here, doesn't want to feed the DK onto level 2.
That creep is a lot less valuable nowadays, though, as he doesn't drop the Pendant of Energy anymore, but only the Claws, as the drops there have been changed. DK investing a lot of mana early on, is committing hard for this experience from the level 3 Murloc guy. Gets the experience and the item. Oh man! The Wand of Lightning Shield. If you play against an expanding player, put that on the Ogre Magi, that can actually be super scary.
Sweet deny by 1-0 again. No experience for this Archmage and struggling to get level 2. DK is totally fine with that at the moment. Of course he wants level 2, but his game plan at the very beginning seems to be to interrupt the human. Oh, he brings the early backpack and second rod.
2015
so more pressure.
And it is the tech again here by Infi, even on Northern Isles. He's not expanding. Outside of Terranas and Echo Isles, this is the best expansion map. So I guess that means he just mostly doesn't want to expand anymore, is once again probably going to be moving into those Riflemen. Fiend comes in, resupplying with Rod of Necromancy. But the DK is still far away from level 2, so trading hits is going to be very favorable for the human right now.
True. He got level 2 now, and DK I think has to run away a little, focuses on his levels a little more.
1-0 wants to be disruptive though, wants to be annoying. If it so early on, it's just creep game versus creep game. 5 footies plus the AM is much faster than just a single fiend. Once it becomes 2 fiends, 3 fiends, things are more equal, so you're gonna be more gladly be exchanging creep routes. Good scouting here by 1-0. Weird movement by Infi, trying to go for the evasion creep, but he was found, and he only got the single creep, starting to lose footies here. Well, loses the 1 footman. Not the end of the world.
Yeah, again the aggressive creeps. It's quite interesting. Infi has won 2 of the 4 monthly qualifiers here. They never met though, and actually they did in the first one, but there it was Infi playing Night Elf in the February race, which was a different story as Night Elves were a lot stronger in the previous patch. So that game doesn't really count. Apart from that, he has only defeated 1 undead, and that's Lucifer, or Michael now, with 2-0, as we don't have too many undeads in the scene in general. So,
what are we seeing this time? We haven't seen a single rifleman yet. Is he just completely skipping rifles?
That would be pretty crazy.
Going tier 3 knights right away? Some ladder strats right there. No, there is a blacksmith, MK second.
First rifle is out.
And that was his first rifle, yeah.
MK Lich, again, that's pretty much set in stone. Infi, it's either evasion creeping or he really values these consumables high.
No, I think it's evasion creeping. Like, the drops here are so bad. Nowadays it's slippers and claws. Like, it's 2 items from this camp. Oh wait, no, it's the... Wait, wasn't it slippers? Okay. Sorry, I'm not too familiar yet with the new one, I guess.
That coil, was it in time? Yes, it was! 1-0 stealing the big one and keeping the Archmage away from level 3, making a big jump towards his own level 3. Gotta be a little careful here with his DK at 50%, but once more kills the skeletons, will deal fatal damage. My god, this creep jack. Infi trying his best to get away from 1-0, but it's absolutely not possible.
1-0's map presence throughout both games now is exceptional. He's basically where he needs to be, where he's ideally gonna be at every single point.
I really love 1-0's play here because he's using a lot of coils aggressively early to kill a lot of footmen early. And Infi and TH, we've mentioned this so many times in our casting career, what they are able to do with footmen, even if the game is in dire straits for them. They sent the footmen into the base, trying to kill buildings, go for the economy, and slowly but steady find their way into the game again. But if you only have like 2 or 3 footies to work with, that's absolutely not possible. It's also slowing down the creeping. Of course, footmen are not the best fighting unit. They will die to destroyers in the end anyway, but they do have a lot of value in the progress towards tier 3.
Absolutely.
And he takes that away from Infi, and it's a genius move.
And if you fight around 40 to 50 supply, footies are still okay, kind of. At least they're going to soak up some spells, and they're fighting up against Fiends. If they were fighting up against A-bombs, they would be pretty horrible. But against Fiends, it's not that bad. Next big item being picked up here was the heal wards, which are okay, but more importantly, the MK. This time he's solo creeping. Okay, now Infi's changing it up, not soaking up experience with a level 3 AM anymore. This is a very, very important change in his play. By 1-0, sneaky creeping over here. Well, not that sneaky, I guess, now that he's been found, but he's taking it away from Infi. Picking up the Periapt, which is okay. Harder now for the heroes to get nuked by this MK, which will probably be getting joined by the Paladin soon.
Yeah, absolutely. The Archmage, by the way, good right-click damage by now with +12. So it actually does something with the orb later. That becomes even more powerful. Next consumable for 1-0. For the Lich. No orb yet. Isn't tier 3 a little delayed?
Yeah, I think he went 4 Fiends into tier 3, so definitely somewhat delayed. I wonder again if he's going upgrades. Oh! Crypt Lord! My favorite hero in the game right there, especially popular with mass A-bomb style, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. 1-0 on 4 Fiends. Pretty high with the ranged unit count. And normally when you go mass A-bombs, also you want double slaughter, which is not the case.
I wonder what triggers this decision, as the Dark Ranger was so effective in game 1, and now it's the Crypt Lord. I've seen this one more and more in pro games. Wow, absolutely last second, but the stun.
What? Misclick there.
Yep.
Borrow on everything. Whoopsie.
But saves the hurt one. No reveal at the moment. Ah, there we go. And he gets the kill in the end. And the level 3. So finally he got that.
The Lich went for Frost Armor, by the way.
Yep.
Which
expecting Knights.
Are we going to be seeing those?
Like, that could be the reason for the Crypt Lord if he's 100%
What's the DK doing?
agreeing or expecting Knights. Then the Crypt Lord has, of course, double value once again as impeccable coil.
And you can see the difference of the Mountain King level. He is so much more confident with level 3, so much more scary as well. But he's dropping low now. No invul on him. He is susceptible to focus fire. The Holy Light from the Paladin is not quite here yet. But one more Fiend dies. That's the second Fiend lost now for 1-0. And this trading game seems to still be going in favor of Infi. Some of the rifles, though, dropping low. There's one more Impale!
Oh,
beautiful! Onto 5 targets.
And Nova should be ready in a bit as well. At the moment, Skeletons are getting the kill. He's using that for Frost Armor all the time. Interesting, only against the Mountain King here. Doesn't have that much value, I feel. Like Nova in the back could have been better, but the Orb of Corruption is doing some good work. Frostborn follows it up. And yeah, you said the trade goes in favor of Infi. 1-0, coming back here.
Yeah, turns around when there's no mana. When every hero is out of mana and it's just about right clicks, Orb of Corruption plus Undead triple hero plus possibly Fiends is really strong with the backup of statues. So MK, when he's out of mana, he really doesn't do much at all. Infi did go tier 3, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Seems a little late here. The Paladin only going to be coming in now.
And again, it seems to be rifle casters. Huh. I'm not too sold on this. Not knowing his decision-making, why no Knights, but maybe he just can't afford it on one base. Paladin is coming as a third hero, should be ready soon, as well as the Master training here. But again, no expansion up. 1-0 feels confident enough to expand on his side of the map.
Seeing that more and more, this 50 supply under the expansion. Happy likes to do that a lot as well. It's also going to work as a point of distraction. Human may want to go over there to harass, to cancel. If it does get cancelled, it's not that expensive, but that opens up the rest of the map for being crept. Red camp here, big contention.
50 supply for both players, basically 4-3-2 against 3-3-1. Not the biggest of deals though. The illusion soaks up a lot of damage. This Magnetar warrior helping 1-0 a little, and will fall to the undead most likely.
Impale.
Oh, Stormbolt prevents the pickup of the item. Can he pick it with a pally? No! DK got it. Not the best one, but still.
This impaled, dude!
Impale, absolutely flawless. No Nova follow-up just yet as he has to take care of this Fiend stun again. I feel Holy Light on this Mountain King, but he's in focus now. Will it just knock him down? Invo Potion used.
Stormbolt available. What's he going to use it on? Could have aimed for the Fiend. Wants to go for the DK instead. Trying to force the TP perhaps, but the Deathlight is so tanky. On level 4, he will be able to walk it off. And instead, it's the human units falling 1-0 once again, taking a massive lead in this game. Remember, not only did he win this fight, kind of, but he also has the expansion coming up.
Man, he could 2-0 Infi. That would be a gigantic statement for him, of course. Going into this tournament, many people were saying like, oh, Undead only having 2 players here in the tournament, but they are by far the strongest representative of their race, and 1-2-0 is showing it here. Without many flaws, Expo up, upkeep broken, close to level 3 on the Crypt Lord. That's actually very rare to see in pro games.
Yeah, shows you how many kills he found, and also how many camps he was able to creep. Yeah, as you said, only 2 Undead players in the world can compete on the highest level, but they're both showing up in very strong shape. Oh my god!
Again, man, how many units can he get with these stuns? 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kill, no problem. Coil to save that Fiend in the end. GG! A flawless 1-2-0 is the first player in the top 8.
Even with the Crypt Lord there at the end, making me personally very happy. Looking super solid, man. Not just execution, but map positioning, idea, like game plan, and the decision making in the late as well of where he has to be at what point, taking the perfect engagements at the right time. Very much unlike Infi, I guess. What was that style? That looked all a little off. That didn't look very well developed. That was kind of weird.
1-2-0 just has Infi's number, expanding the streak to 5-0, the second win on this patch, so Infi is not able to defeat 1-2-0 this year, as it seems. I was talking, now I can admit it, I was talking to the Chinese host Snokus before the game started, and I told her, I have no doubt that Infi is going to take this, might even be a 2-0, and she was agreeing. Well, I guess we were a little off on that guess.
Yeah, and in the match against OC, he looked very strong, Infi did, but of course there wasn't challenged too much. I was expecting him to show up in stronger shape as well. This didn't look like the Iceman just yet, but of course he's still going to have a chance. He's going to be dropping down to the lower bracket, where if he wins the decider match there, he's still going to be moving on to the playoffs. And is he the favorite there? Probably will be playing up against Lawliot. And Human against Night Elf seems to be a lot more doable nowadays than it used to.
Yeah. Also, Infi for a long time just knew how to play against Lawlight and Foggy, who both have a very unique style. And it's very hard for these Night Elves to break him because he's just that damn good at defending and expanding and getting his own advantage and stuff. But I have to agree, going into this tournament, Infi, one of the best players of this entire year, won title and a lot of silver and third medal and bronze medals. I thought he would be one of the top 4 here in this tournament, but that was not a top 4 performance at all.
Yeah, and going back to the strategy, it seems like he practiced this a lot and seems to be confident with the style, playing it 2 games in a row despite losing the first one. But like, what is the strength of that style? You're not even dominating the early tier 3 time. The Lich is just so strong with the orb. I guess the Fiends doing a good job holding on for the Undead, and the Paladin seemed so late as well, making no use of the newly improved Knights.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. On game 1, he had the excuse in quotes of that not too great early game with the creep route failing and the late Mountain King, but here on Northern Isles, that excuse is not working because he had good hero levels, and it was just 1-0 being too good in just knowing what Infi. He was in his head like the entire time. It was like mind control, and I have rarely seen Infi outplayed like this.
And also one thing that seemed like was a big part of his gameplay was Inner Fire, which didn't do anything.
No.
That just got dispelled over and over.
With just one destroyer. That was pretty damn good.
Doing good kiting right there. I think Infi can be really good if you have a massive army, ideally gyros, that force away the destroyers, or just incredible amounts of rifles that also kill off the destroyers. But he never got to those numbers, so Inner Fire, usually a very strong upgrade, and buff, didn't do much there at all.
We have a little winner interview here with 120 and Snow Kiss on stage, of course, once again in Chinese. But he got a little redemption for the winter edition of WGL, where he was knocked out of the group stage and everybody was not too high on him. Also this year wasn't the greatest yet, but maybe when it counts he is in shape, and WGL is of course where it counts when it's about $60,000 here.
So, 120, our first player to make it through. Our next match is going to be Focus versus TH. The human player here having a chance to be the first member of the Alliance to make it through. TH is the most impressive player so far this year. I think it's safe to say he's one of the big favorites, and going up against Focus, it's going to be a really interesting match.
Yeah, for years and years, TH was dominating Focus, same as Infi, as Focus apparently had no solution against the human gods. But Focus, we said this, is most likely in the shape of his life, and especially against human, I found him to be very creative in at least trying to find answers. Most of the time it didn't really work, but maybe that was due to the fact that Infi and TH were just slightly better players, and Focus was not able to get to that level at that moment. But I feel if he has a chance, it should be here, but TH was so strong in the first game against Colorful. Man, Colorful, I think, the weakest performance of all, but TH made him look that weak.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was TH just in God mode in that game. Focus did win 2-0, yes, but the first one should have been a loss, honestly, against Cash. And Cash, yes, he's a good player, but he's not in the top.
Okay, we have more for you. TH versus Focus coming up in 10 minutes.